What if we just did a baseball episode? What if we just pretended we were a baseball podcast and didn't tell anybody about it?
You know what would be really funny about that?
What?
This is the All-Star week. So there's like no baseball to talk about because it's the All-Star week. We just do like a home run derby recap, a celebrity All-Star game recap.
I would rather fucking stick pins in my eyes than do a celebrity All-Star game recap.
What position, what baseball position would each of the drivers be? Well,
I think we may as well. I don't know if that's a good opener or not, but the people will tell us.
We'll either find something in there or we're just gonna, blast right into it this time because honestly, what a fucking race. Absolute
best race of the season.
Banger of a race.
Best
Easily
race of the season.
Best race of the season. Boards are updated. British number one for Ben and I. That race literally had everything. And with that, welcome back to the Backmarkers F1 Pod, the latest and greatest podcast, F1 podcast that no one really asked for. That's Ben. I'm Derek. We had Independence Day weekend over here in the States. We had a fantastic time. You and I hung out, which was amazing. Got some burgers.
It must be noted that I did kick your ass in Mario Kart.
You did kick my ass in Mario Kart. You won every race, I think, in the Grand Prix that we did drive.
Yep.
Like 2 out of them, I think it was at least 2 of the ones that we did. I was leading like up until the last straight, and then you just whizzed past me, and I don't know how it happened. But
the last corner of the first race, I was in second. I was like, all right, I cannot let this happen. And then I crossed the line ahead of you. I was like, there we go. Yep. Racing got at it again. So no,
don't know how that happened, but that was fun.
It's because I'm good at Mario Kart. I will talk my shit in Mario Kart. That's what you got to do.
I will not talk my shit in Mario Kart because I enjoy it. I'm better than some, but I know there's plenty better than I at the same time. So it was a little embarrassing not to get at least one win, but I'll accept my defeat in that one. That's okay.
It was expected. It's okay.
I had a lot of beers that day.
It's true. Now you're just making excuses. You need another ass whooping.
I think it makes me drive a little better in Mario Kart, though, if I'm being honest, because then I'm not as focused on it.
Well, clearly not good enough.
So I gave you my best efforts, apparently.
I'm eagerly awaiting the rematch.
Yes, we will get that done for sure. But yes, we had our own Grand Prix, and then there was the Grand Prix. I think that should be a shirt we should make, by the way. I've thought about that. It's not Grand Prix, it's Grand Prix.
Okay.
Like GRAUN, like Braun.
I think I'd have to see it on a t-shirt. I thought, Braun was AWN.
I think you could do it either way and get away with it, like Sean, SHAUN or SHAWN.
No, it's SEAN.
Besides the point, I can't put Braun and do GREAN. That'd be really weird.
Green.
I've heard it both ways. But no, I think that'd be fun. Grand Prix. It's just like fancier. It's fancier, more French sounding.
We're not going to talk about the French here. We're not going to bring
Grand Prix racing.
We're not going to bring up the French.
GPR, Grand Prix racing. That's what you do.
Just replace it with X's for pre. GRX. XD? No, that doesn't make sense either. We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But I think that'd be a fun little thing to do because it's just like, it's mispronouncing it a little bit. But no, absolute banger of a race. Qualifying was fun already from the get. That one was just crazy as it was with Max getting on pole at the last second and everything else in between there. But then, I was looking back at my notes. I had a whole race worth of like things that happened by lap 18. in this Grand Prix here at Silverstone. Absolutely electric.
And then the rain started.
Right, that's exactly like then the rain started.
Yeah.
That all this happens, then there's the rain, and then the rain ends, and then it was let's all go onto slick tires. Let's everyone spin out on our slick tires, and then we'll finish her. It was madness. It was absolute madness, and it was amazing. I loved every second of it. I couldn't stop watching. I wanted more.
Absolutely.
Actually, I didn't want more because I was just very happy to see Nico finally get on the podium.
Oh, I feel like that is like the best. I feel like it doesn't even matter. Hulkenberg got his first podium. Like that's just like fucking bag it up, put it in the bin. We're done with the program. Nico Hulkenberg got a podium. Like that's all we need to talk about.
I think you texted to me. You're like, and everybody liked this.
Yeah,
because that's exactly what it was. I mean, it was. I didn't realize this. I saw this. I think I might have bookmarked it. But the last 4 races, he started like sub 15th and finished well within the top 10 each time. I mean, he started 19th in this last in Britain, and he finishes on the podium. Like just an absolute masterclass in the driving, the strategy calls, the just everything broke his way for once, which just doesn't happen as we've come to know with Nico Hulkenberg's racing. But
yeah.
What an incredible drive. There's just nothing more to say about it.
Yeah. I mean, started last, literally dead last.
Dead last.
And then ended up 3rd place. I mean, it's brilliantly done. It's good strategy and good racing. The one thing that frustrates me deeply was the podium celebration.
Dude, I was hoping you were going to get into that.
I'm so, like, I understand that Lando and Oscar are in their own world with their championship battle, right? As they deserve to be. They're clearly the best. They're clearly in the best car. They deserve to be in their own little world. But it's like in baseball, when a guy hits his first home run, comes back to the dugout and the entire team just ignores the shit out of him. And then they swamp him and they're like, hey, good job. Welcome to the show.
Right.
You got to spray the dude with champagne. Like that's, you can't just have your own celebration.
Yeah.
You can't just do your own thing. When it's your first podium, you got to celebrate with the guy. You know what I mean?
Been 239 races for the man. He's waited long enough for this moment, and he doesn't even get a good moment out of it. Visually,
he got a good moment. He got a
great moment, but the visuals of it and the celebration aspect of it, he didn't get any of that on the podium itself.
I mean, you could see that it meant a lot to him. You could see that he was like enjoying the moment and savoring it and everything, as he well should. But those guys should have done just. I mean, it's not one of those you score a touchdown, act like you've been there before.
Absolutely
he hasn't been there before. You make it special. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. Like you said, they're in their own little world. However, not too long ago, Kimmy's on the podium. Max and George have their own scuffle during that race. Immediately set that aside and doused the living hell out of him in his champagne. Because hey, congrats, kid. You got your first podium. Nico, who's more than earned this chance, more than earned this opportunity to finally get up there, doesn't even get looked at. I mean, the Stake F1 Team News account actually tweets this town. Oh, shoot. This is probably just a fan account. Damn it. Yeah. That's really unfortunate because I thought it was the actual Stake account because it's like the actual picture. I was like, oh my God, Stake tweeted this out. But regardless, they tweeted it and I was like, dang, I thought that was the actual team account. So never mind. Just ignore that one. But still.
We'll move on. That'll be what you cut up for the open.
Yeah, like that really sucks. Like, come on, like you couldn't have even sprayed him. Like they didn't even spray him once the entire time. Like all of the photos and the aftermath and the wallpaper photos, it's just like him with champagne spraying because that's all that happened. Meanwhile, afterwards, you've got Mercedes sending them bottles of champagne because the team didn't even bring anything to celebrate with because why would they? You know? Then you have Max coming up to him immediately, giving him the private jet flight home for them to party in Nice to celebrate. Like, thank God they got treated well after the fact, but still, it's like, how do you miss that? Like, come on, McLaren. Like, and the guys, like, they knew it was his first one. They were talking about it in the green room. And then, oh my God, did you see the after interview with what Oscar asked Nico about in like the post like podium interviews?
I did not know. What was it?
Their trophies were Lego.
Oh yeah, no, I did see that.
He's
that was
so
awesome.
How do you feel about, it's been 200 and some odd races, you finally get a podium, and the trophy you get is a Lego trophy. Like, that does suck, honestly.
No,
Nico had a
cool.
great response.
You take it apart, you glue the shit together so it doesn't come apart.
Nico had a great response to it too, as he has with the whole thing. Honestly, he like paused for a moment, then he had like a little snicker come across. He goes, "I love Lego, like it's great." And then he goes, and he's like, "And my daughter can play with it now too." It's like, okay, yeah, that's all cool, fine and dandy. But then he finished. He goes, "Yeah, I mean, like a little gold or silver would have been nice, but it's good. I got one basically."
Maybe he breaks the streak. He'll be able to get another one and get real precious metal. But also,
I hope so.
Maybe he gets the instructions for Lego on how to build it. That would be
I just hope Lego doesn't turn around and then sells this, because obviously that would have probably been their plan is, hey, here's the trophies, but then also you can now buy this in stores for $500. Like,
I feel like
then it takes away a little bit of the specialties.
I feel like they'll have a different one. I would absolutely buy a Lego trophy, to be clear.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Like, it would be cool, but that, like, in order for it to have that special meaning to it still, you can't sell that then.
Is it not meaningful? And I'm not a pro wrestling guy, so don't get me wrong here. Is it not meaningful when a WWE guy gets a wrestling belt? Is it not meaningful?
I don't think so. It's scripted.
Oh, I agree. But does it not mean something to that person in that moment, and you can get them at Walmart for $39.99?
I'm not a pro wrestling guy, so I think I don't see any of it as being worthwhile to me, to be honest.
I'm not gonna hate on another sport. I'm also not a pro wrestling guy, but the significance is not lost on me. You know what I mean? You're not going out and you're not getting the Larry O'Brien trophy at Walmart, but it'd still be pretty cool to have one.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can buy replica trophies. Like, those exist online on the internet. You can buy replica trophies of all of the major sports for sure.
Iconic? You know what? Like, who's getting a Super Bowl trophy? Who's just walking in and saying
that is a very popular fantasy football trophy to buy replicas of? So you know,
that is stupid. If you're going to have a fantasy football trophy, it should be like a toilet seat or something. It should be like it should be a crown and a cape that you have to wear at the next draft. You know what else is a popular trophy, Derek? Fucking WWE Championship belt. So I'm not gonna. I got nothing. I got no problem with a Lego trophy. That is awesome. But at the same time, hopefully he gets another one to get some actual pressure.
I hoped that it was like, oh, that's just what they were giving them, like, on the podium. Like, at first when I was seeing it, because they gave Lando the real one for winning, and then he got another one. And they said over the TV, it was like, oh yeah, he's getting the Lego, like a replica Lego one. I was like, oh, that's cool. I just assumed that was the only one, not that second and third was also just Lego. I was like, oh, where's his trophy?
Maybe he'll get it later. I don't. And they're doing.
I hope so. That's what I was I was holding out hope, like maybe they just presented the Lego ones, but he's getting the real one later. But then they're just getting Legos. It's like, really? That's it? Like, I mean, cool for Lego, and Lego is cool and everything, but it's like it could have been a worse. All I'm saying is, anybody else gets that who has gotten a podium or been up there before or whatever. Yeah, that's cool to add to the collection. My first one, I kind of don't want a Lego one.
No, but there's the famous one from back in the 90s that was Sonic the Hedgehog. The Sega version? Yeah, you didn't know about this? Oh my god.
No, I'm Googling this right now.
There was Sonic the Hedgehog F1 trophy.
Sonic F1 trophy. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Senna won it.
Yeah, but that's fucking sick.
That's hilarious. You can buy replicas of that.
Yeah, and that would be a better fantasy football trophy than the Vince Lombardi trophy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the Vince Lombardi trophy is just kind of in the first place.
It's bad. It's not a good trophy.
It's not good. Stanley Cup, number one. Let's just rank those real quick. Stanley Cup, number one.
Are we doing this? Let's do this.
Far and away the Stanley Cup, number one.
Yeah.
Let's just do the major four American sports real quick.
Okay.
You can't get too much into F1 and NASCAR and all. There's just too many at that point.
Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup, Number one, far and away, not even close.
By a country mile, absolutely.
By multiple country miles.
It's a battle for second place.
I like the World Series trophy.
I was going to say the World Series trophy.
It's cool. Yeah, it's unique.
It's iconic with the little flags and everything.
And it has a little world underneath. That one's cool. Yes, you can't drink out of it. You can't do anything with it. You can't really do anything with the other two either. But the World Series trophy is cool with all the pennants. That's very fun. I like that one a lot.
Okay. Larry O'Brien, third place. Super Bowl trophy, fourth. I feel like it's kind of
I reverse that. I'll go Super Bowl over Larry O'Brien. My problem with the Larry O'Brien is
here we go.
I think the MVP trophy for basketball is cooler than the Larry O'Brien. It's a full net with the basketball rather than like a weird abstract contemporary like partial net with the basketball falling into it.
They redid all the trophies recently. That's the only one that they didn't touch. I don't know if they changed it from how it was because honestly, I wasn't really paying attention. Mm-hmm. But like, I think it's better looking than the Super Bowl trophy. The Super Bowl trophy is just ugly.
I think they're very close.
They're very close. I think there is a gap because the Super Bowl trophy gets fucking fingerprints all over it. It's like
the Larry O'Brien trophy.
No, not as noticeable and not as bad. The gold is more reflective. The gold is a little bit better. It's gaudier as trophies should be. If you're going to win a trophy, it should be an eyesore. Mm-hmm. But it's also like first 5 minutes of the trophy presentation ceremony with the Super Bowl. It's just absolutely coated in these sweaty, greasy fingerprints.
That's correct.
Yeah.
No,
not about it. Yeah, I know.
No, I still like it a little bit better. That's my case. It's not by a lot.
I'm glad this list wasn't
very same. What'd you say?
I'm glad this list wasn't chalk, and I'm glad you're doing the fans the service of being wrong on this take.
Okay, whatever.
The listener, excuse me.
Fair enough. Well, back to the British Grand Prix here, though. So there's your power rankings of the major four. Nico, just again, incredible race, incredible moment, just the perfect cap to the whole weekend, honestly. Because, for a while there, we were texting a little bit during the race. I sent you the, hey, Lewis might get on the podium here like you predicted. But then I realized what was happening, and I was like, fuck, no, don't do it. I need Nico here. We need Nico to get this finally. And I think you'd agree there with that one. It was a good moment, at least.
If anybody's going to ruin Hamilton's podium streak at Silverstone, I'm happy with it being Nico. Let's just
that was the meme I sent you. What did it cost you? Everything.
Yeah.
But Lewis had an absolutely incredible race too. I mean, the Ferraris were they tried to Ferrari both of them. Did you see that Fred was saying they lost Lewis's GPS halfway through the race? And they didn't know where he was, and honestly, it just worked out for Lewis because they couldn't fuck up his whole strategy throughout the day.
And that's the thing. I mean, they still called him in a little too early. Mm-hmm. I think, if they had been a little less Ferrari, it might have turned out a little bit better. He had a shot at the podium, and I don't want to say the team let him down, but the team let him down a little. I feel like this was the best weekend that Ferrari had, but they still kind of tried to fuck it up anyway.
Well, I mean, they royally effed it up with Leclerc.
Yeah, no, that was not a good time. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the car that they've brought and their competitiveness, the strategy department was lacking as usual. So
yeah, but otherwise, Lewis just again proving why he's won 9 times at Silverstone. He's an incredible driver there. Clearly loves the track. All of the Brits, and I predicted this in our picks. All of the Brits beat their teammates here this weekend. Clean sweep for the Brits, and then firm clean sweep because then they end up winning. One of them wins the race at the end of it too. So home race advantage was very firmly in the mix here for this one, which was kind of cool to see. But yeah, Lewis, great drive, finally beats Leclerc in a race. Does Ferrari mess it up kind of from the beginning? Yeah, but Lewis just had a good race overall himself too, getting through the pack, fighting through the weather, he had a moment where he probably could have caught up to Nico, but I think they pitted him a little early, and then his tires just kind of started to give near the end, and he just lost ground to be able to make that up. But
yeah,
I could see the pain in your eyes.
I'm so sick of
Mamma mia. Well, where do you want to go from here? I mean, we can go chronologically through the race. We can just keep going storyline by storyline, but there were just so many of them. I don't even know.
I think, and that's all the more reason it makes the most sense to go chronologically. So why don't you take
Let's
us
do that
through
then.
it? And
Okay,
we'll
go through from my notes.
Yeah.
So right away from the beginning, Russell and Leclerc come in for slicks on the formation lap. They were not the only drivers to do, but those were the big names at the front of the pack. Really bold call. Really bold call. So I was confused by that because you could see on the track all the wet spots, and then on the ESPN broadcast, which is the Sky broadcast, they kept pulling up the track map and showing where it was wet and dry or like they would show wet, slick, and dry if it was ever a wet case or whatever, which only happened when they red flagged the race. So right away from the beginning, it's wet, or it's on slicks is what they were calling for in terms of tires. And so for them to come in, it was like, holy cow. And right from there, that just ruined Leclerc's race. There's just nothing more he could do on that one. Russell fights back, kind of. I mean, he finishes 10th in the race at the end of the day, but he had a rough Mercedes just generally had a rough day out there. It did not feel like they made any right call the entire time. So, but right from the beginning, yeah, pulling Russell in to just kind of that ruins their race from the beginning, I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it was a bold choice, and it did not pay off. I mean,
yeah,
good on them for trying something different, and it was definitely exciting.
Yes.
Like remember that race when everybody pitted for the dry tires and Hamilton on pole was the only person on the wet tires, and it was like, oh my god.
Yeah, and he's like, "What are we doing, guys? Why am I the only one out here?"
Yeah, and it was a moment where that very easily could have gone the other way. It didn't. Spoiler alert.
Right.
But it could have gone the other way had it been dry enough for slicks. Could have got George or Charles a win.
Yeah. Oh, easily, 100%. So from there, though, opening lap, Lawson turns right into Esteban Ocon. Just doesn't see him whatsoever. There's your first yellow flags of the day, bringing out a safety car right away. Just, yep, he buffed it. Ocon did nothing wrong. He had nowhere else to go. There was a guy to his left. And yeah, it was just Lawson not capitalizing on the momentum he had from last week and just going, nope, I'm just going to get out of my race now at this point.
He used his momentum to go into the other car.
That's right. Yeah.
But they were 3 wide, and I don't know if he could have seen the person on the inside. Like, his moment there was kind of like, oh, he's going to give me room because he kind of has to give me room, but there was no room to give.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of Lawson's fuck up, but it's as much of a racing incident as it could be,
Right. And that's how they've ruled it at the end of it. It just wasn't anything more than that. It was 3 wide on a wet track with spray going on, and yeah, Ocon was just perfectly in his blind spot to where I don't see him. Yeah. It is what it is. It was just a bad visual because it couldn't have been more clear from Ocon's camera view where it's like, what is this guy doing right now? So
yeah.
So there's your first one. But then the second we go back to racing, Bortoleto spins off the track on lap 4. Like just the beginning of the rookies not being able to complete a race. Besides Ollie Behrman, who was so fast this entire weekend. That's one that we should mention. If he doesn't have that 10-place grid penalty from crashing on pit lane, which Max's radio on that. Did you see that?
I didn't know.
So Max was the car that immediately follows in on pit lane in FP3. And he just starts laughing. He's like, "Oh, he spun in pit lane or into pit entry. Like, what's he doing? He's okay? He's out of the car. Like, he sees all this ahead of time, but he's just like, what? What did he do? He's just laughing to himself about that.
But then check that out.
But then Behrman qualifies 8th, or would have qualified 8th if it wasn't for the penalty there. And then he was fighting all the way to the end with George to get to 10th. after starting dead last on the track, basically. So, yeah, I think if he doesn't have that grid penalty, we see him firmly into the points at that point, given just how everything else kind of broke it down for the rest of the race. But
do you think he could possibly be an alien?
I'm not ready to put him there yet, and I'm not ready to put
Not,
him on Alien Watch either. Same vein as Hadjar at this point in time. Like,
no, no, I didn't. My question was not if he needed to be put into alien category. Do we need to be watching for this? I feel like this could be an Alien Watch type scenario.
No, and I'm still saying I don't think Berriman has proven that yet in the same way that Hadjar hasn't proven that yet. They've had flashes of like there could be something really good here, but there's been too much inconsistency at the same time to have that. Like Kimi, for example, yes, he gets another DNF this weekend. Hadjar ran into him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't Kimi's fault again that he was not able to finish the race. So again, all of the rookies all end up crashing out. Colapinto, Lawson, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Antonelli. I don't
spectacular.
Right, and that
is spectacular.
And he just took out Antonelli. I mean, you couldn't see anything. That was another insane onboard to watch, and it was just all of a sudden there's a car and you're already underneath it, and it was just Kimi Antonelli. Like, that's just one of those things. Like, it's just a rookie. It's a rookie thing, you know. He just didn't. But it's also didn't see the other cars.
It's also with visibility that low. I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, it could have happened to anybody. But little devastating to have it happen to him there.
Right. So, but for that, that's why I don't want to put Berriman in, because again, he still has the crash at pit entry.
Spin in the pit entry.
Like, you know, yes, I still think Berriman is going to be a great driver. Clearly has speed. Just got some more rookie stuff to work out. Same way as I think Hadjar does at this point in time. Kimi is still the cut above the rest at this point. He's been the most consistent. The reasons why he's not able to finish have not been his fault, and he scored points in basically every other race at that point. So, and has shown flashes of being able to compete with the top drivers on the grid more often so far this season.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that. But moving on, so Bortoleto spins. You're just under yellow for the first like 8 laps essentially. Just nuts right there. Verstappen's ability to hold off Oscar Piastri again for as long as he did, a la Miami, just insane. With a car that did not want to go straight. Let's just put it that way. It just did not want to stay straight. That thing was spinning all over the place, sliding out on him with a narrow wing. You just had no control over the car, and for him to be able to hold on to the race lead for 18 laps or so, basically. What the hell? That was crazy.
Yeah. Max is that good.
He's an alien.
He's an alien. We saw that level of skill, and we saw why he's the guy that everybody wants to sign.
Very much so. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and then for him as well to, after his spin, come back and finish in 5th too. Not the result you want, of course, having started on pole. Probably were thinking you could at least get a podium, or hope you could get a podium out of that. But for being, what was he, 10th after he rejoined the track from the spin? Yeah, to hold on to the spin and not crash is one thing.
Which was spectacular. I mean, and we'll talk. I feel like we need to talk about the spin in the greater context of the rest of the incident.
Yes.
Which I feel like we're going to disagree on.
We're going to have a nice debate here for you, the listener here coming up.
So let's backtrack and talk about the spin.
His defense, or the spin.
His defense. I mean, his defense was awesome, but eventually the faster car and the I don't want to call him the better driver, because I don't think there's anybody that's better than Max, but a guy with racecraft that is
in a better car.
But is his talent just as good, almost as good? I mean, he's been. We haven't seen weakness from him really. I don't think in terms of Oscar versus Lando or Oscar versus anybody. We haven't seen him be really put a foot wrong. And I think that Oscar definitely deserves his flowers for being able to get past Max.
Yeah.
And he He did it. Mm-hmm. He got past him, and he was in front during the safety car restart, which we're going to talk about.
Yes. Well, give Oscar some more flowers before we get into that. He builds up a 13-second gap.
Yeah.
To then Lando at that point in time, because Lando had the lead before that, or was in front of Max prior to that safety car, but then McLaren messed up his pit stop, which then allowed Max to come out in second on the ensuing safety car restart.
I don't know how much I really want to give him his flowers for that. You know what I mean? Like, it's awesome that he was able to get a 13-second gap. Why did you need it? You know what I mean? Like, why were you that far ahead? Could you not have been a little bit more conservative with your strategy, saved your tires a little bit more for when you might need them to defend against somebody rather than just build up a crazy gap just for the sake of having a crazy gap? You know what I mean?
I don't, because I don't think it's that he was driving all that. Like, I don't think he was necessarily wearing through his tires. I think he was just in that much better of a car than what the Red Bull was in. And then also, if you have that big of a gap, that gives you more room for strategy and win to pit, does it not? Because you have more, you then do have a bigger gap to the people behind you. Or then if the safety car doesn't happen when it happens, you could then theoretically use Lando to build the bigger gap for him, and then you don't even have to worry about the team battle or whatever. I don't think that's what would have happened, but if you're so far out in front of everybody else, it's hard for then, say, a Lando who would have been in second place to come out and go, hey, what can we do to get me into this? I don't know. You're pretty far out of it. Like I feel like if you can maintain that big gap, you should always maintain that big gap no matter what.
That's
so long as you're not going to destroy your tires in 2 laps, for example.
Yeah. And I was just thinking of it in terms of, okay, if he had had better tires later in the race before the pit stop, would he have been able to attack more and get further ahead post-spin catching up to Lando? That's just my thinking is like, okay, if you maybe played it a little bit more conservatively, because post-spin, right, he comes out of it, he gets the 10-second time penalty, they go for the pit stops. He's got the 10-second 10-second penalty before the pit stop. He comes out of the pits. Lando pits the next lap. That gap is 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because Lando's got the cold tires and it's wet and it's all that stuff. Yeah.
If you're in a better position, if your tires lasted longer, what's the situation? How much further can you get ahead of that before the craziness and chaos happens? And could you have been 2 seconds behind after the penalty? Could you have been whatever, yada, yada, yada? You know what I'm saying? So that's just my thinking there.
Yeah. And we're getting too far ahead for this next point. So we'll get to the incident of the weekend.
You love saying that.
It's so much fun to say. So
hang on, I just want to make sure I'm not misremembering. His gap that he made up was pre-penalty, was pre-spin. That he made, that spin? He had that pre-safety car, pre-everything, that he was 13 seconds ahead.
So Oscar has the 13-second gap. The Hadjar crash happens, which is the big thing. The big thing that causes all of this to then happen. So prior to that, I did find this funny. One little aside here for you. Alonso got upset on the radio with Aston Martin because
one does.
Lance all of a sudden is out top 5 basically at this point, and he's like, "Why the hell?" He was in third at that point.
I'm pretty sure he was in third. Yeah.
At some point, yeah. I don't know if that was prior to.
That would have been post spin.
That was post spin, but still, Stroll's way out ahead. I think in 5th probably at this point in time, and I think Nico's probably 6th at this point. And then Alonso's just rolling around in the teens or whatever, going, "Why the hell am I not out there in the front? Like, why are you guys always messing with my strategy?" Basically.
Classic
awesome.
Fernando.
Because then it ends with Stroll saying he's in a shit car as he finishes 7th or whatever. It's like, dude, you finally scored points in your complaint. Like, whatever. Aston Martin just more brilliant. Again, everything that happened this race weekend was incredible and awesome, just awesome to talk about. So that was just fun. I enjoyed the spicy radio out of Alonso's to just add more cherries onto our fantastic ice cream sundae that we built from this race. So Oscar has 13-second gap. Hadjar crash happens, which takes out basically the rest of the rookies at this point in time. What was it? Oh yeah, Hadjar crash happens. Then the gap is it just doesn't exist anymore because it's neutralized because of the safety car. Oscar comes in, clean pit stop for him. Lando's already out in front in second. Then Max is in third, very closely behind him. They come into pit. McLaren fucks up Lando's pit stop. So now he comes out in third behind Max. And then on the ensuing safety car restart is when Oscar slams on his brakes. Max whizzes past. And then it's deliberated upon, and the 10-second penalty is then given to Oscar Piastri at that point in time. Your take.
So the question is, why? No, okay. I'm trying to think about how I wanted to say. I maybe should have done this today before hosting a program with you. The issue that I have is that he is in control of the race. He is now the safety car, right? He is. The lights are out on the safety car. He is in control of the restart.
Right.
If he wants to slow the pack down, if he wants to slow everybody down and control the restart, as is his right, what did he do wrong?
A lot, apparently.
Apparently, but like letter of the law, right? The safety car lights go out. He is now the safety car in charge of the restart. What should he have done better? He can control the restart. He can restart the race where he wants, when he wants. Why is he in the wrong here?
Because he was playing a game and he broke the rules of the restart. Like
how? What rule?
He wouldn't have been penalized if he didn't break the rule that the stewards. I don't know the rule book offhand, but from what I've heard on the broadcast from everybody else talking about this, from different Formula One drivers to drivers in the cool down room, as Nico then talked about too, he took it to an extreme that is not allowable. Because, one, this isn't the first time this type of an incident has happened this season. Russell in Canada did the same thing to Max, and they were already at that point in time going, that was a little naughty by George Russell there, and it was much, much less than what Piastri ends up doing in this. And I have some numbers for you to back this claim up.
You're going to talk about brake pressures, aren't you?
That's part of what happened. I don't know what that means exactly, other than it causes you to slow down more. But Russell in Canada, during a clear day and everything like that, on the straight, goes from 140 kph to 85 kph. Oscar went from 218 kph to 52. That's a much, much bigger difference. And yes, his brake force was double the amount of what Russell did in Canada versus what Piastri did in Britain.
But also, the safety car lights went out on a straight as they're all accelerating. You know what I mean? They didn't. They knew the safety car was coming in. They didn't know necessarily when the lights went out. If he's braking and he's reacting to the lights going out and controlling the restart as is right.
Okay, but he was being. He was playing.
No, he was in control of the speed.
It
happened at the same time.
It's not to that nth degree, though. He was playing a game there. He was doing something more intentionally than he should have been. Because
which was what?
Okay, the whole pack he almost caused the entire you almost caused the entire grid to crash into each other. Nico in the cooldown room was saying, yeah, I mean, I've never seen anything like that. I had to swerve a lot more than usual on these types of things. Like, the worst part about it is Oscar didn't have to do that. He didn't have to hit the brakes as hard as he did. He probably didn't even have to hit the brakes just generally. He could have still backed the pack up, letting off before you get to the straight, and then we get into the corner, then you slam on your gas and you go and you leave the pack behind at that point. / he just had a much better car than Max anyways. He would have blown away anyways. Max wasn't going to be able to catch him, and he would have still been able to keep Oscar behind, or Lando behind him at that point in time too. Like, he didn't. The stewards, again, I don't know what the rule exactly is. I don't know any of the rules in the FIA stewards rule book or anything like that either. So I'm going off of what all the commentators are saying, what the stewards are saying, and then the fact that McLaren they didn't protest the ruling at the end of the day either.
Of course they didn't, because one of their drivers won in their home race.
Okay,
like,
they're not going to throw that
kind of bias behind one driver or the other. You know what I mean? And it wasn't guaranteed necessarily, because at that point Max was still behind him.
It wasn't guaranteed that Lando was going to win. That was so early into the race still at this point.
100%. But my whole thing is, if he's allowed to control the restart, if he is the one who is now in charge of dictating what happens to the restart and what happens to the pack the rest of the way down, he has every right to control it and has every right to slow down.
Right, slow down, not for slam on the brakes though, which is I think what they were getting at. You slammed on your brakes, and you're not allowed to do that. And he did. He just did. There's the evidence to prove it. And again, I'm going back to Brundle going, that was extreme. That's not what you're supposed to do. You can't do that. Like, everybody in the sport, involved in the sport, who isn't a McLaren or Piastri fan is going, yeah, you can't do that. Again, George did the same thing. Like, if Piastri is well within the same amount of what George did, they're not going to do anything about it, because then you're setting a terrible precedent at that point in time. He over doubled it, and the speed went down way more. Max whizzes past him, also has to then slam on the brakes and come to a complete stop. Lando almost runs into him. Everybody else runs into them. Like, the accordioning effect was so much more.
You good?
Yeah.
Your issue is just that he stopped too much, right?
I'm saying what the so-called experts, which I think we can agree are the experts here, were saying.
Definitely not us.
So I'm going to go with that. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, stop too much, probably. The rain, the bad conditions probably had something to do with it as well. But a 10-second penalty, bro? That's
if you want to argue
wild.
The severity of the penalty, I think that's wild. Fair. But if you're going to try to say, and not you necessarily, but people generally, if you're going to try to say nothing should have happened, that's bogus.
I don't think nothing should have happened, because, to your point, it was too much. It was excessive. It was like, all right, like, maybe you are. But if you're supposed to be in control of the restart, and that is your competitive advantage at this point, you have every right to control it as you see fit. If you want to penalize him for slamming on the brakes too hard and slowing down too much and driving unsafely for conditions, that's a different thing entirely. But a 10-second penalty, bro, that is nuts. Absolutely fucking nuts.
So what I think they ended up giving 10 seconds over 5 is because this isn't the first time this has happened this season. And I think part of it potentially could be the FIA going, enough of this. We don't want this type of behavior anymore on these restarts. That we've never had like an issue with the slamming on the brakes and trying to cause the guy in second to whiz past you so you can give them a penalty. I think part of this is the FIA going.
I don't think he was trying to do anything untoward like that. Because I think legitimately he was just trying to set up the restart the way that he wanted it to.
I think now, George was in Canada, but you know,
gotta keep my mouth shut on that one.
I think this is the FIA going, we're done. You guys are not doing this anymore. This is not the game we're trying to play on these restarts.
And I think
that's what happened.
I think we've said as much about it as we can from our uneducated perspectives. And I'm obviously in my camp, but I think the other part of that is Max.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Max goes sailing past again because they are on a straight where they're all accelerating,
mm-hmm.
and he doesn't react in time to what Oscar does. Whatever we want to talk about, what Oscar does, that's its own kind of other separate thing,
mm-hmm.
right? But Max goes flying past and then starts complaining on the radio, and then I think we see him lose his cool a little bit.
Max,
I think he's kind of a little bit frustrated. Or he wants out of his Red Bull contract that badly that he's willing to piss away a race. So I think that is also a factor at play here, is that when the restart finally does come around, he's a little overzealous with it and ends up spinning. But again, brilliant job recovering it.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant job saving it and not crashing and not absolutely ruining your day, not taking anybody else out with you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think it was, and I think that also could have had something to do with the penalty, the fact that he got Max to bite that hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Like you got our best active in this point in time driver on the track to
fuck up.
Do this. Like you did something, on purpose. Yeah.
And so I think that's another factor that could be at play.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think it was anything that was malicious or that untoward that warranted a 10-second penalty.
Yeah. I don't think Oscar was. I don't think he was trying to cause the effect that ended up happening to that degree. I think he was being a little coy or a little cheeky with it a little bit, trying to, which, like you said, having the ability to then be the safety car, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to find the way to mess the guys up behind you so that you have the better start and then you can just run away a little bit. That's
not even necessarily
that's to be expected.
Them up behind you. It's
right.
Get the best competitive advantage for yourself. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you're trying to find the right spot where you get to go and only when you're doing it, so then you get the better advantage to go on ahead. And I do think that is what he was trying to do, but it just ended up having an extra added effect. And maybe that was a time when he goes, well, hey, George got away with this, I can do this too. And he just did it harder. That's very possible, I think, as well. That could have been on the back of his mind to some degree. To your point about Max being mad on the radio and maybe showing a little emotions, duh.
No, I mean, in terms of not about his radio, but in terms of him screwing it up after the fact and not getting the restart right. You know what I mean? If he has a little bit of a hot flash, shall we call it? Is he going to lose his cool and be in the best headspace to maximize his positioning in the restart, not lose his grip, not spin out? You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of knock-on effect that this situation had, was that he was pissed off, he was frustrated, and ended up trying a little too hard and running out of skill, which is hard for Max to do.
Yeah, that's possible, but I think it's also possible that because of him having to slam on the brakes, this is what they were saying on the broadcast, and when he then eventually does spin, is that could have just fucked up his tire temperatures generally as well, to the point, and he already had a loose car, so then you add on all those extra things, and he's going into a restart maybe just the way he plans to, with a car that should work at this point in time, but just all of those extras together just causes the spin, and it's like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I wasn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it.
Speaking of tire temperatures and brake temperatures, who's to say that's not what Oscar was doing, trying to maximize the performance of his car?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think historically, thinking about his safety car restarts when he has been in charge of them, he does like to slow down and back the pack up. So I think that's just another thing to consider and another factor at play. And I feel like if we keep talking about this, we're going to talk about it until the cows come home. But I don't think it warranted a 10-second penalty is the most diplomatic way of breaking it down.
Of saying it. You think 5 seconds is more justifiable there?
Yeah, 5-second penalty 5-second penalty is a 10-second, I mean, like, fuck. That's just kind of extreme. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't.
And that's, I think that's a fair thing to say. I don't know what is right or wrong there, so I don't know. 10 seconds could have been fine. I don't really have a strong opinion on that at that point. I just think it's something happened that caused more things to happen that he probably wasn't intending. But because he did that, this doesn't mean that nothing should have been. There shouldn't have been no penalty. So I do think a penalty is justifiable. You can argue whether it's 5 or 10. I don't really know at this point.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I end. Where I end on the whole situation overall. But that just caused the lasting effect throughout the rest of the race of, well, what is going to happen now? Because one, you still had rain at that point in time. It was still wet, or did that happen on the, now I can't remember, because when did they red flag the race? I completely forgot about when they even red flagged the race too. They did red flag the race because of the rain. They pulled them all in. Shoot. Yep. Great podcasting. Hold on.
There wasn't a red flag. They had them drive a couple laps under the safety car. I think maybe a few too many, but there was no red flag.
What am I thinking of then? Maybe they're talking about it. British Grand Prix. Oh, that was during final practice sessions. Okay, sorry. Yes, I'm mixing a couple of things throughout the weekend. You're correct. So yeah, they brought the safety car. That's what it was.
Practice sessions.
They brought the safety car out. You're right. Sorry, that's correct. They brought the safety car out for the rain at one point in time. And I forget when that all happened. Regardless, things happened. Things happen. Incidents happens. Moving on from there, though. The max spin on the safety car. Kimi told to retire the car because, Hadjar runs into him, but then his car just broke afterwards. That's right. The Hadjar thing happened, which caused the safety car with the Lando Oscar thing. Correct. There we go. Moving down the rest of the race, it kind of got a little quiet there in the middle after all of that, and then during the rain, the overwhelming amounts of rain, there, like, positioning changing was happening. You lost some of the spins and some of the extra stuff, and it was really focused on, well, can Oscar build up this gap to defeat the 10-second time penalty at this point in time? That then becomes your main storyline going forward. Norris eventually gets around Max because of the spin, and now it's the fight between them of what's going to happen. Can Norris come back? Can he get within that distance? The 10-second time penalty comes down later on down the line. And now that's kind of your focus for a little bit there, is what's going to happen between those two. And this is another point where we were texting about a little bit, where I don't think it would have mattered if he had the penalty or not, because I still thought Norris was going to win the race at the end of the day regardless.
Yeah, no chance.
You don't think so?
Chance. No, and I'm not saying this is a fanboy. I think Oscar didn't really put a foot wrong except for the penalty.
Right.
If he would have had preferential pit stop strategy, he would have been able to. And maybe they double stack him, and it doesn't end up being a pit stop strategy type thing. I think he's still a better racer than Lando is, and he's shown that time again through this season that he's a better racer. I don't think Lando would have had a shot even if Oscar gets a 5-second time penalty, because as we see, he comes out, the gap is such that it's a 5-second gap after Oscar pits and Lando pits. You know what I mean? So, I don't think it would have made any difference whatsoever. That was Oscar's race to lose, and to a certain degree, I feel like it was kind of ripped from him by the stewards. If you're asking me.
Okay, I think Norris still wins that regardless, because prior to Oscar's last pit stop where he serves the where he serves the 10-second penalty, Lando is much faster at this point in time. He's gaining onto Oscar. I think when they pulled him into the pits, his gap was somewhere between 1 and 1.5 seconds. So Lando was eating away at the whole thing. If there is no penalty, they're racing to the very end.
Because he blew out his tires and didn't save any of his tires when he was ahead before the safety car. That was the point that I was trying to make, is that why are you building up a 13-second gap?
But they had pitted already at this point in time. Because this is after the safety car restart, when they both pitted.
Got it. My bad. You're right.
Yeah. So they're both on the same sets of tires, and they have the same length of time on these tires too. Lando's gaining very hard at this point in time. Again, it was somewhere between like a 1 and 1.5 second gap, to the point where McLaren comes on to Oscar's radio and go, watch for the DRS, because essentially they're like, you need to maintain a gap here, one, for your own race, but then two, if he gets to this point in time, it's going to be really dangerous for them to, at that point in time, because of the penalty, go swap positions. Because at this point, your race is done. Lando's already passed you anyways. But they pit Oscar before that. And then you see then Lando comes in. It's a 5-second gap. But the reason why I still think it doesn't matter is because after that point, Oscar gets down to like a 4-second gap on Lando after that first lap. Lando fucks right off for the rest of the race and finishes with a 6.8-second gap victory. Like, he continues that speed and that pace and just goes, nope, I'm taking this and I'm winning this no matter what. So that's why I don't think it really matters all that much with the penalty. Either A, Lando just outright wins it because he gets past him, or B, it's a fight all the way to the very end and he's within the DRS range.
So fucking sick.
Right. That would have been much cooler to watch than how it breaks down. Again, the whole race was incredible, and you still had that drama up until the very last couple of laps when Oscar still very much had a chance to win that race. It was hard, don't get me wrong, because of the penalty, but right after Norris's pit stop, there were a decent amount of laps left. Oscar could have gotten back into that, but then Oscar also spins, and Lando doesn't spin. So if you want to talk about racecraft, Lando didn't spin. Lando did nothing wrong that race, and Oscar has 2 moments of whoopsies, one with that got him the penalty, but then 2, he ends up spinning. Lando could have, I think Lando was like Lando and Hulkenberg were like the only 2 who didn't spin the entire day.
Did he spin, or did he just have a moment where he lost time? Because I thought
that was the moment where he either spun or just went off the track at some point in time. Because
he had a moment where he went off the track. I think it was because he was on the curb. He rode the curb a little bit too hard.
Right.
I think I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, no, I wasn't. Let's send us an email, backmarkersf1pod@gmail.com.
Did we get any more emails?
No.
Back at it again next time.
Yep. Well, so listener, you have to send us 2 emails. That's the thing. We've got to make up for this one that we missed out on.
True.
So
that was very fun. So yeah, I think we covered the full effects of what McLaren ends up doing in this race here.
Yeah, I think we've covered the race, haven't we? There's nothing else that we need to talk about, is there?
There's a couple more things that I wanted to mention at the very end. One, with Nico, I thought Sauber ruined his podium chance because they messed up his pit stop. They very firmly messed up his pit stop, his very last pit stop. It all ended up working out for him at the end of it, but it was just like, dear God. The other point that I wanted to make on the race, on why, again, Ollie had just such an amazing race. The Haas's hit each other at the end of the race, both spin, and then Ollie just gets right back out there and again is still fighting with George at the end of the race. Like, again, an incredible race by Ollie Behrman. The whole thing was just absolutely amazing.
And one of the stats that I have heard is that Esteban Ocon now has a 100% rate, 100% streak of hitting his teammates over the course of his career. He has hit every single one of his teammates. So.
It had to happen at some point in time. At least here it was wet and you could blame something else.
Yeah, maybe.
not collecting them at Baku or wherever.
We can move on.
Yes. So, but yeah, I mean, those were the big things. But there were more things that happened that we still didn't talk about. Gasly finishes 6th. What an
I
incredible!
Didn't notice.
Exactly like him, Hulkenberg, and Stroll from the beginning got it right. Their strategies were absolutely amazing because all 3 of them were right up at the top most of the race. Stroll was in 4th, I think, 2 laps left in the race, and then Hamilton, Verstappen, and Gasly all get around him in like those last 2 to 3 laps or so. So Pierre gets big points for Alpine. We were talking a lot of crap about them prior to this race. So that was good to see. Again, the Aston Martins, Fernando finished in 9th, a double points finish for Aston Martin. Great weekend out of them. Williams gets back on the board with points, with Albon finishing 8th. Both cars finished, which is a huge accomplishment for them, given how the last 3 weeks have gone. Like even the back markers down the road, like the rest of them all had really good results. All the rookies were almost all terrible, and then the rest of them had fantastic, almost really good job. So we didn't talk about Yuki.
Do we have to?
Not really.
Yep. Let's move on.
We can move on from there.
Yeah.
So incredible. Just incredible. What an incredible weekend.
I agree. It was a good effort. Good race. Best of the season.
The best of the season by far. I mean, just start to finish, so much happened throughout the entire thing. But those weren't the only fireworks that happened this weekend. It was not.
I'm not giving you any props.
I'm not making a pun for the 4th of July. I was saying that,
pun.
But those were not the only fireworks that happened in terms of racing this weekend, because there were 2 other races that happened this weekend. IndyCar was at, I think, Mid-Ohio or something like that, and then NASCAR had their Chicago Street Race, and I sent you this video not too long ago.
Oh yeah, crazy.
Cody Ware, holy shit! If you have not seen this video, during the NASCAR race in Chicago, they do a street race in Chicago on the 4th of July. I think this is like their 3rd year doing it or something like that. His front left brake rotor explodes, and he, on this one straightaway, goes, I don't know, 100 miles an hour head first into the tire barrier there. Just an incredible crash. They said he walked away fine, thank God, because that looked horrible.
And that's the most important thing, is that everybody's okay. But honestly, when you sent this to me, my first reaction was his throttle must have been stuck. Like, there's no way a guy carries that much speed going into that turn
without crashing into somebody, like we saw in Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. So that one was just insane. And then on top of that, Shane Van Gisbergen wins again.
Of course, as if there was ever any doubt.
As if there's going to be any doubt. It was a road course, and it was a street course on top of that. So naturally, he was going to win. Is he a Kiwi or is he an Aussie? I always forget. He's a Kiwi. Yeah. Okay. Him and Lawson, 2 brothers.
I would not put him in SVG's category, but all right.
So that was one race. But then the other one that I just thought was fun. Oh, also, there was a 3rd race winner in IndyCar. It was not Alex Palou. And it was not Kyle Kirkwood.
Crazy.
It was Scott Dixon. Scott Dixon took home a victory. Shout out him.
Good for him.
He's a 7-timer.
7-timer? 7-time what?
Championship winner in IndyCar.
Good for him.
Yeah. So it's been a little quiet. But yeah, it was Palou's won 6. Kirkwood's won 3. And now you finally got a different winner in Scott Dixon this weekend. The other thing I wanted to say from the IndyCar race, besides the fact that there was a different winner for once, it was I think it was Santonio Ferrucci.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did I bookmark this? Let me pull this up real quick. Connor Daly. So Santonio Ferrucci and Connor Daly at one point in time were battling on track, and Santonio Ferrucci just straight up runs Daly off the track, and then also runs himself off of the track.
Hell yeah.
Ferrucci gets a 3-position penalty for avoidable contact was the final ruling on this. But the firework that comes out of this is after the race. Connor Daly gets onto X Twitter and goes, "This clown literally drove himself off track trying to make sure he wrecked me," crying emoji. At Santonio Ferrucci, brilliant as always. Why is there not more of that?
Yeah.
Just drivers calling each other out. Because this is not the first time I've seen this happen with IndyCar drivers. IndyCar drivers do this shit all the time. They just call each other out just on the internet, just go, "This guy's an idiot." NASCAR guys fight each other after the races.
Fight. It's kind of like a baseball fight.
Sometimes
they keep their helmets on. They keep their helmets on. They shouldn't. They should take them off.
Sometimes they throw their helmets at cars. Those ones are hilarious. So NASCAR will literally come to fists. IndyCar guys are just calling each other out live for everybody to see in words on the internet. And then you've just got, I don't know, F1 guys, they just do this passive-aggressive thing every now and then. Well, that's not true. Kevin Magnussen will tell you to suck his balls. So
and then you'll get your first podium later. So
sometimes they can get a little spicy, but it's just not the same. Like, I loved that, just the calling them out. That's just fun to see. Just nope. Yeah. I'm gonna say some more shit online after the race. Yeah, this is how I feel about it, and everybody needs to know.
We love it.
We do love it. Baby. We do love it indeed. Oh, what a great race weekend.
10
What a great weekend. So much fun.
I love it. How'd our results do?
Oh, yes. Let's go over that real quick. You ended up breaking even. You went 2-2 on your picks, and I went 2-1 on mine. So if you listened to our last episode,
if I had not predicted a Ferrari podium,
you would have been 2-1. So if you listen to our last episode, you gave a bonus pick, and I did not give a bonus pick. But we teased the viewers online to listen to the episode, and you'll hear what our bonus picks were. And I very, very bravely said, no, I am not doing that.
And if you fell for that, listener, send us an email, backmarkersf1pod@gmail.com. If you were hoodwinked, swindled, and felt that you were given a raw deal because Derek didn't make a fourth prediction, let's hear your complaints.
There you go. We'll hear it.
We'll do nothing about them.
No, we shall not.
We'll hear it, we'll read it, and then we'll probably ignore it.
Yes.
But your voice should be heard. And ignored.
Yes, where our differences ended up coming into play was you had the correct winning margin because you had between 5 and 10 seconds, and then I picked the correct race winner with Lando there. Otherwise, we both picked the under on classified finishes of 17.5. Brilliant pick by us. Oh, yep. by a wide margin.
I was sitting there. I was thinking finishing. 17.5. We got this. Got this.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Once you had the rain in there and everything else,
game over.
No brainer. Game over. So yeah, you went 2-2. I went 2-1. That brings our overall picks record to you are at 19-14 on the season. Still fantastic. And I finally get to double digits at 10-22 on the year. So it feels a little more respectable because I at least have 10 picks correct. That is still absolute dog shit.
10 and what?
I'm sorry. 22.
Okay, I heard the 2 and I was like, you're not 10-2.
No, I am not. So I'm picking at like a 30% hit rate, not even at this point in time, because I'm 10 out of 31 then. So you're over 50%. What would you be at? Let's actually calculate that real quick. 0 to 100 real quick. You're hitting at 57.5. So if you want to round that up, you can say 58%. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty good clip right there. That really is. You're making money on that.
Hey.
Would you care to hear what our head-to-head fantasy results look like?
Absolutely not.
You could not have had a worse week, honestly, and I could not have had a better week on top of that. Right. Your biggest blunder was picking Bortoletto over Hulkenberg.
Oh fuck, dude! I forgot about that. Honestly, I did not remember any of these picks that I made.
You had Piastri over Norris, which again that doesn't change too much. You end up at -1 on that one. You have Alonso over Stroll, who finished 2 points behind, so you -2 for that one.
Jeez.
You had Albon over Sainz, which got you points. You got 4 points. So far you're at a point for the week. But then, yeah, you had Bortoleto over Hulkenberg. Lost the 18, which is pretty tough.
Jesus.
And then you had Hadjar over Lawson with both of them DNFing. So
Bortoleto didn't finish?
Bortoleto DNF'd.
So if it's a DNF, it shouldn't
count? He gets no points.
He gets no points. All right.
Right. He gets no points. And then, well, Hulkenberg got his first podium of his career. So
honestly, I'll take it. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad.
Thanks, Nico. For the week, you finished minus 17.
Not even mad. Not even mad at all. Happy.
And I had the flip side. Very happy for Nico. Could not be more happy for Nico. He again, and everyone liked this.
Yeah. Nobody's mad.
I had Verstappen over Tsunoda, which got me 10 points there. Then I had Gasly over Colapinto, who again Colapinto DNF, so I got 15 for that one. Russell over Antonelli DNFs, so I get 11 for that one. Behrman over Ocon. Behrman finishes 2 places ahead of Ocon, so I get 2 points. And then Hamilton over Leclerc. Leclerc with just the awful weekend, so I got 10 points from that. So I got 48 points on the week.
Leclerc with the awful weekend or Hamilton?
Leclerc,
but
Leclerc with the awful.
Leclerc, you picked Hamilton.
I picked Hamilton. I picked Hamilton over Leclerc. Yeah, I
really should figure out these rules here. Yeah.
It's just driver head to head. So that's all it is. You're trying to pick the guy who finishes head to head, which on a book, I won't say the name until we get a sponsor, you can pick driver head to head matchups. So if we're learning anything for our race picks, follow Ben. He knows what he's talking about. For our driver head to head matchups, you should follow me.
There we go.
That's how it's been going in our very limited, data sample here. So
there's still time to turn it around. We'll figure it out.
If we've learned anything, mega swings can happen week to week here. So you could still end up on top at the end of it. So, but yeah, that's been fun. I've been enjoying this part of it. My picks I haven't enjoyed so much. This week was good though for me overall. So I'll take it. But yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
A great recap of a great week of racing or weekend of racing.
Great weekend of racing indeed. We've got a little bit of a break here before we get to Spa. I believe we have 3 weeks off.
I think it's 2. Is it 2
Belgium?
or 3?
Belgium is July 25th, 27th. So not this week. Not next. We have 3 weekends.
There we go.
Before the next race here. So we will go down to a weekly episode until then. So next week we'll have our episode drop on Tuesday probably, followed by another one on the 22nd, and then we'll follow up with our Belgian Pontiac Grand preview prior to the race. So we'll see you guys next week for just solo. What do you say we do like a 2-parter of some kind?
Yeah, we'll spitball it off the air and figure out what to do with the recap.
Yeah, we'll do something fun. We'll try to do something a little different here for the next 2 episodes before our Pontiac Grand preview for Belgium. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week and the week after, and then we'll be right back to our racing. It's not the summer break; it's just a mini summer break.
There we go. Hey, enjoy it while you can.
Enjoy it while you can. We'll see you guys next time.
Adios.